So we're gonna talk about Florida's season outlook. You guys been loving the videos where we kind of like single out teams and just give a breakdown of it. So I think we should probably keep doing that. Shout out to Oregon fans. You guys have done some crazy things for the channel, man. Like, you guys are showing love. Even though I said in the Oregon video, I don't know if you've seen it, but I said, what is Mario Cristobal and Tyler Show building at Oregon? But I forgot completely that Tyler Show transferred to Texas Tech. And for some reason, only like one comment actually called me out on that. And it was embarrassing, but the fans are still cool with it, and they still supported the video. So I really want to thank Oregon fans. Just know we're all not perfect. You know, we make the mistakes while we only have 160 subs. That way, when the channel gets bigger, we don't make too big of mistakes. But let's talk about Florida for a second, okay? Florida just won the SEC East after Georgia had claimed it 3 years in a row. Florida looked to be building something special. They look to be building something special. They got an Emory Jones at quarterback. When was the last time they had, should we say Tim Tebow, last time they really had a dual threat quarterback? Because we don't want to say Felipe Franks. I mean, that was...
Yeah, dual threat? Yeah, I would say, I don't know. Didn't they have, no, I wouldn't really call Will. Yeah, I would say Tim Tebow, bro. Tim Tebow.
So... we're going to see a new Florida offense. We'll see how Dan Mullen handles it. But I think the real question for this is, can Florida reach different new levels of dominance with Emory Jones at quarterback? Because let me tell you the statement. Let me tell you how the SEC stands right now. The SEC stands with, and we're Georgia fans, so that'll give you some insight. So obviously I do not like this team, but I've seen some things from this team that I'm actually really proud of. I've seen them do some pretty crazy things last season. I felt like they were pretty dominant, especially when you look back on that offense now. Tony, Copeland, Grimes, Kyle Trask playing at the level he played last season. I mean, they're pretty different. Their defense slacked, obviously, but I think when you look at the SEC now, you see Georgia is as the top team that's actually bringing back their quarterback. I mean, you could look at LSU, but are we really scared of LSU? Do we really think LSU's building something dangerous?
Miles Brennan. Anyway.
the Miles Brennan. But I think when you look at Georgia bringing back their quarterback, JT Daniels getting a full offseason award. He should have played against Florida last year, but we won't get too deep in that. We'll talk about Georgia later. But I see Georgia building something dangerous, being dangerous on defense, being dangerous on offense. I see Bama having the highest rated recruiting class of all time, and a quarterback in Bryce Young, who we know can be dangerous. Honestly, probably is going to have a better career than Mac Jones. When it's all said and done, I think Bryce Young has potential to be better than Mac Jones.
Quite possibly true.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's that statement about Bama quarterbacks being surrounded by talent, and you wonder how good the quarterbacks really are. I guess we'll see when we'll see Mac Jones in the NFL. He's already been looking to be doing some better things than Cam Newton. So I think you look at Florida, they lost so much of their offense. Like I said, Tony, Grimes, Trask is gone. And I haven't even said Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is gone. Probably the best rookie in last year's draft. He's already doing some special things in Atlanta, and they're building this new offense here around Emory Jones and his ability to run and throw the ball. And he played a bit against Oklahoma in their bowl game. Obviously, it was a blowout, but it was their C team. It was a C team, but I'm not gonna let them slide too much, because I remember when they were clowning Georgia when we had like our C team against Texas, and they were clowning us for losing that game. So I mean, I gotta clown Florida fans for this loss, but we do have some videos on the channel where we clowned y'all. So it's sadly, but I don't really want to clown you guys today. But I mean, I don't know. What's your statement? What's your statement on this Florida team? What's the season looking like for them?
I mean, it's like, well, the way I looked at it at first is exactly how you looked at it. They losing an enormous amount of talent on the offensive side. You know, Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, just name two. They're losing Kadarius Toney too, and it was like, you look at this team and you see that they were a major offensive threat last year, and then they lost all that. Not really all of it, but they lost a majority of that talent. But I mean, Dan Mullen's an offensive head coach, and like whenever he went to Florida, I knew that he was going to be dangerous on the offense side of the ball. But, you know, obviously the defense he's not a defensive coach. That's why Florida was crying about a defensive coordinator. But I mean, just looking at his team, I mean, offensive-wise, I don't think Emory Jones is as great as people think he is. I'm not saying he's horrible, but everybody's talking about this man. Earlier in the offseason, they're talking about him like he was finna win the Heisman. They were giving this man high hopes. And like as the offseason went on, everybody sort of forgot about him. I mean, so I'm not really expecting him to go out there and take us back to Will Muschamp, Florida, but I don't think he's going to be as good as last year. I don't think Florida's going to be as good as last year, personally. I don't see it happening again.
Definitely not off rip, but I do think Emory Jones can transform their offense from what we've seen before, but they'll need a lot of pieces, and I think Rick Gilbert was going to be one of those pieces, and as you can see now, he's playing wide receiver at Georgia, so I do think Dan Mullen will need to grab some dominant offensive pieces. He's probably not going to get nobody like Kyle Pitts for a while. That's like once-in-a-lifetime talent when we talk about a tight end, but they definitely got to strengthen their offense around more than just Emory Jones, because his ability to move in and out of the pocket is going to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Florida is going to be – maybe they won't reach the level of dominance they reached this year, but I think eventually with Emory Jones, they're going to do something. And this season is not too crazy for them. They got a pretty simple schedule. And like you said, Dan Mullen is an offensive coach, and we could see that in the first few years because his big problem was that he hasn't had a quarterback to really break Florida through. Really hasn't had a quarterback to lead Florida through, and Kyle Trask took a tremendous heist last season. Maybe it was because of Kyle Pitts. We said that in a video a long time ago that we thought Kyle Pitts was really the one transforming the offense, and then you finally had Tony break out of his shell because remember Tony had injury troubles through most of his Florida career that really held him back. And last season I feel like he really had a full healthy season, and you saw how that just transformed Florida. And I think now,
the thing is that everybody you just mentioned is gone.
Correct.
So that's why you look at this team weird now, because you don't really recognize this team. Like I was telling you before we even started this, I was like, I don't really know nobody on Florida. Like the only people I know is Emory Jones, Jacob Copeland, and a Georgia transfer, Brenton Cox. Those are like the only players I really know on this Florida team. And that's why it just makes me question them. I don't think they're going to do horrible. Like me and you both have projections on their season. I personally have them going 10-2, losing into Bama and Georgia. But obviously 10-2 is still a great record for a team that just lost all that potential.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
they've reached. I think last season was a year for Dan Mullen to really break out of his shell and figure it out when it comes to coaching. I mean, even though the defense is the defense, I think Florida is, when it comes to offense, I think they've reached a point and a level where I feel like they can stay stagnant. And I don't see them, like that Felipe Franks era where they were losing 4 games a season. I don't see them returning back there anymore. I think they've hit a point now to where, like you said, we only see them losing those 2 games, where the Georgia-Florida game will actually be a competition. I feel like it's going to be good football. It's good football to watch. I mean, it's been good football to watch the last 2 years.
I feel like Florida has just hit exactly where Georgia was in 2017. Georgia didn't have all the key pieces to win anything except for Chubb and Michelle. Mm-hmm. And then now they're in a boat where their only competition now is Bama, Clemson. So I feel like Florida now, all their competition is Bama, Georgia. Who else they play? LSU. That's their competition now. I mean, LSU wasn't great last year, and I don't know if they're going to be good this year personally. But, like, they're officially, like, I'm not going to say S tier of college football, but they're definitely an A tier college football team, especially now because they're getting recruiting on roll. Dan Mullen, like you just said, he had his breakout season last year as a head coach for Florida, and I feel like he's just going to keep that momentum going into recruiting, into upping these players' potential and developing them. He's going to have better coaching staffs roll through. Because, he's probably going to get it done faster than Kirby did. Because, 2 years ago was the first time Kirby was like, let me hire some new people. And it's working out great for us now. So, Dan Mullen, he might get that started faster. And Florida might overtake Georgia in a couple years. Who knows? But as of right now, I see them in the same boat as 2018 Georgia, where everybody's like, okay, this Florida team can do something, but they're going to have a new quarterback. I mean, we didn't have a new quarterback going into the season because Jacob Eason got hurt and then Jake Fromm came in, but They have a new quarterback. We don't know how they're going to do, but based on last year, they ain't going to be steamrolled at all this year.
I like what you said about I like what you said about Florida being in the same position as Georgia, because trust me when I say, as Georgia fans, we've been through pain as well. Like, we know what it's like to have an offensive coordinator on the team that just simply doesn't work. Like, you guys have a defensive coordinator on your team that doesn't work, Todd Grantham. So trust me, we know the pain. We know what it's like when your team clearly needs a great quarterback and you had one on the roster and you let him go, even though it might have been the right decision at the time. Trust me, man. We have been through the pain, even though we've beaten Florida every year except last year. Trust me, man. That pain is there. We know exactly what. I remember telling you in 2017, I never expected Georgia to ever make the playoff, even with Kirby Smart. I didn't think Kirby Smart was really going to come and transform Georgia. But now that he has, and he's taken us to new levels, I feel like we have a shot to at least make the playoffs. We might win. We've made it to the Natty, so I know we can do that.
If I'm being honest, this year right here and 2018 season, which was right after we lost the national championship, or that's 2017 season, my bad. That's the year we lost the national championship. Those 2 seasons was the only seasons I could have ever seen us winning a national championship. So it was the season that after we just lost, because I was like, oh, we just made it with that team. And I was like, we got Justin Fields coming in. We got, who else was coming in? We had Zamir White, all of them coming in. I was like, oh,
we had talent. Adam Anderson.
We had the number 1 class.
Yeah, we had talent.
And then we didn't do anything. We lost to Texas, and I was like, wow. And then now this year, I'm like, we have a top 10 quarterback in the NCAA. We got stars on each and every corner of the field. The only bad thing is George Pickens is hurt. I'm like, we should dog this year. Eric Gilbert. I was like, we should dog this year. But obviously, it's probably gonna be short lived, and I'm gonna be disappointed.
As a Georgia fan, I don't get my hopes up.
We know how you feel. We had to deal with Mark Richt. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. Just at the end of his days, he's not an amazing coach. He's not a great one either. But he's a good coach. But I mean, like, we know how it is. Jim Chaney is horrible. You see what he's doing over there at Tennessee right now? Horrible. It's just we know what it's like to have that.
You mean what you doing? Ain't nothing horrible about getting some free McDonald's. What's worse? All right, what's worse? What do you think is more painful? Georgia having Mark Richt as a head coach, or Florida having to live through the Felipe Franks era?
Ooh, I think the Felipe Franks era was worse. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I know that was painful for Florida fans because he was kind of bad.
Because Mark Richt at least got us like 9-10 wins a season, at least.
Yeah, he kept us as a basic SEC team.
He kept us as a B tier team in the whole NCAA. Everybody's like, okay, they can be ranked 14 through 25. They kind of nice.
Okay, interesting. They can they can struggle against Florida every year. It's every other year type thing with Florida. Okay, we see you.
We see it. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, Florida has been through it. Like, they had Will Muschamp. He's now Georgia's special teams coach now, since Scott Cochran has personal issues that he has to deal with. Will Muschamp stepping in. This man is our special teams coordinator. If you rewind back to 2010 and you told a Florida Gators fan, you're like, yo, this Will Muschamp dude that y'all about to hire as your head coach, he gonna be special teams coordinator at Georgia in 2021. They be like, you lying. We had to go through that? Bruh. And then they had to deal with Jim McElwain. That man was butt naked laying next to a shark in a picture, bruh. That is horrible. That man is acting like the New York Giants when they went on that boat, man. He flexing for no reason.